With recent elections, there was a blue wave, from council members to school boards to governors and to the mayor races. The Democrats had a winning streak. One of them is from the mayoral race in Conshohocken. The new incumbent mayor, Yaniv Aronson, has been serving as mayor since 2017. Today, I will sit down with him to discuss his popularity, his policies, and the future for his borough, entering into his third term in January. Right here on The Abstract. Thank you for joining me, Mayor Aronson. For those who don't know, Mayor Aronson is also a Stanford University Fellow, has worked in public high schools and higher education, skilled in film, video, editing, and screenwriting and production. Welcome to The Abstract.
Thank you.
So, just to get into it, so, you've been running a campaign the whole of this year. What was the campaign like this year?
So, it's my third time running. So we had a pretty good team in place, and we had a really good idea of what an election looks like and our goals and the things that we wanted to do. Really, the heart of it is door knocking, being out there, talking to residents, and hearing their concerns, letting them know I care by actually stopping at their door and talking to them. So that's always like the core. And then we did a lot of Facebook and Instagram advertising. So we ran paid ads just to let people know that there's an election. I think after a presidential especially, people are like, oh, I don't have to vote for another 2 years or 4 years. And we wanted them to keep voting.
So for those who are unfamiliar with what a mayor is, could you tell the audience what is the duty of a mayor?
So the boroughs in Pennsylvania are covered under the Borough Code. So the duties of a small town mayor are very different than a big town mayor, like in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. So in Philly and Pittsburgh, they have a lot more authority. They can do a lot more. They control more of the budget. They have a lot of departments. A small town mayor is part-time. And really, my only big official duty is to be in charge of the police force. So I work with our chief. The chief reports to me.
What were the main policies you were trying to push to people for them to re-elect you?
I think because I'm in charge of the police force, I can really talk about safety and not overstep into things that council would do. So we have this big road, Butler Pike, to people out this way, Fayette Street in Conshohocken. It's 4 lanes. It's a 4-lane highway that cuts through the center of town. I hate it. And my plan is to make it 3 lanes instead of 4 lanes. So I've been advocating for that for 8 years now. I think we're very close. I think I heard feedback that it would be very, very popular from my residents. So that was really my main talking point when I heard about that road, which is the whole reason I ran in the first place. When they heard that there's a plan and it's very close to happening, I think they were very excited.
Okay. So the results that came from this election, which they're still as unofficial, you ran as a Democrat with a total of 2,348 votes. And your competitor, McCoy, a registered Republican, got 736 votes, total of 3,084. So you basically got a large percentage of that.
76%.
76%, yeah, according to patch.com. What were the policies that, or sort of principles that maybe your competitor was trying to push that wasn't really
I would look at it from the other way. Like he ran the campaign he wanted, and it's his second go around. I think our visions were starkly different, and this vision of positivity and being visible and accessible to the community has only gotten more popular over the last 4 years, as we see with these results. But I think being accessible, having a public cell phone number, public email, having a monthly newsletter that I didn't have 4 years ago is appealing. Like, oh, I can reach out to the mayor in like a million different ways, whatever's comfortable for me. So when I came around, people knew me, they asked about my family, they knew about things I was doing in the community, so for us.
So you're trying to say your campaign was more in terms of optimism and positivity, and McCoy was?
We had a debate 4 years ago, and he said, if you're happy in Conshohocken, don't vote for me. like
Mm.
like the most buzzed, exciting town in the region. That doesn't make any sense. So so it wasn't in line with, I think, what people are thinking and why Conshohocken is on people's minds and why people know about it. I think we're just that exciting, fun place to be right now.
The cost of living, it's a thing that also a lot of Americans are, it's in the top of their minds, the cost of living. Um, what are you going to do when you take seat in January to combat sort of the high cost living in the borough of Conshohocken?
So it's sort of a weird dynamic because Conshohocken, when I was in high school 25 years ago, was run down. Main Street was boarded up. No one would go there. The name of the high school is Plymouth Whitemarsh, not Plymouth Whitemarsh Conshohocken because they didn't want us in the name. That being said, we do have Section 8 housing. We do have affordable housing that's maintained by the county, so we do have those structures in place. I think there's not really much as a local government. We don't have the power to tell people to freeze rents or anything like that. We don't have that authority. So there's really not a ton we can do other than continue to beautify. We're putting in more parks. We're transitioning to sustainable energy. We're repaving roads. We're making roads safer. We're expanding our staff to meet our expanded population. I don't think cost of living is a priority in that the folks like we represent the people in town, and they want us to continue those things.
Conshohocken, it's a very historical town, 175 years. Some of these apartments being built are due to also the demolition of middle class homes. So, are they?
No, the rundown factories, brown sites. The 400 West Elm in particular was a parking lot and weeds. There was no housing there. All the development is on former factory land for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Just as a statistic, based on the Economic Research Institute, it did say that Conshohocken is 19% more expensive than the national average and 21% more expensive to live in than the average city in Pennsylvania. So, in some way, you could say it is sort of expensive, and
so yes, but that's very skewed.
Mm-hmm.
If you leave our region and go literally anywhere else in Pennsylvania, the cost of living is going to plummet. So it's not a Conshohocken thing. It's the fact that we're around a major hub, the biggest city in Pennsylvania. We have SEPTA that can actually get people out to the suburbs. We have infrastructure. We have higher property taxes to maintain really good school districts. I hear the opposite complaints. So I talk to mayors from all over the state, and they can't get people into their towns. Their towns are dying. They would kill for this kind of development. They have been mayors for 50 years because there's nobody to run. No one wants to do it. They are dying to see what we have here in Conshohocken.
How is the government shutdown sort of affecting the governing in Conshohocken or the residents in Conshohocken?
I'd say we're seeing it from the SNAP angle. Folks that are on SNAP and are feeling not just the shutdown, but just like the job environment in general, which seems to be deteriorating on the ground. We are like I'm in the middle of like 4 or 5 different food and clothing drives, just driven by myself or nonprofits or local businesses. So we're seeing it from that angle. I've been in touch with our food pantry in town quite a bit and been able to get out the things that they need the most right now. So we're seeing it from that angle quite a bit.
To talk about like you're a Democrat, yesterday in Capitol Hill, certain Democrats broke away in terms of wanting to reopen the government. What's your take on that?
I think I'm really worried about the ACA credits expiring, and I think they should have held firm until they got a stronger commitment from Republicans that they were going to extend ACA credits.
So are you for the Democrats, sort of the group of Democrats who want to reopen the government, or to sort of continue in terms the Republicans meet sort of the contingencies?
I think we've given up all our leverage at this point. So if they had held firm, we saw from the elections that the population was actually behind Democrats and what they were doing and pushing for stronger protections from the big beautiful bill. So I think once you give that up, there's no protections, like you have no leverage. So I think it was a mistake, and you're going to see skyrocketing healthcare costs over the next year.
Okay, so you told me you work with a police department in terms of ensuring safety. From looking at your work, you're being quite critical of the federal government in terms of also mobilizing the No Kings protests in Conshohocken. There was a sighting of ICE agents in July along Ridge Pike, and also an ICER that was in nearby Norristown, which was on the news. What are you doing when you come into government, well, re-elected into government? What would you do to protect immigrant communities in Conshohocken?
So ICE has not been in Conshohocken. The two areas you mentioned are Plymouth and Norristown. If you look at mayors all over the county, they've been pretty quiet about criticism of ICE. It seems as though once you go public and you are critical, then they come to your town. That seems to be the method that they're using. So if you look around, the mayors have been very quiet as far as ICE. It doesn't mean we're not back channeling with community groups and we don't have contingencies in place with our police departments, but
are you quiet?
Yes, because I don't want ICE in my community, right? So we have plans in place as far as council and as far as the police force and as far as other mayors in the county. We all seem to be aligned on this, but if the government is going to send ICE where we are speaking out the loudest, as fun as it would be to fight them on a political angle, it would be the worst thing for my residents.
Recently, there have been plans to build a new data center in Conshohocken along
Plymouth Township.
In Plymouth Township. Well, from looking at sort of your residents, because they're planning to have sort of like a meeting this Sunday about sort of denying the building of a 1,000,000 square foot data center, according to WHYY. Let's just start. Like, what's your take on a new data center being built?
So it's complicated because it's just like where the residences went in that you were talking about. We're not knocking down homes. They're not digging up parks. This is a 100-year-old steel mill that's a brown site that is zoned for heavy industrial. No matter what goes in there is not going to be popular. It won't come before council. It'll come before Plymouth Township, so they need to talk to their Plymouth Township officials.
Yes. So, you're a person who has, helped the community in terms of being more environmentally friendly, and even though it will be built in the Plymouth Township sort of area, they require large amounts of energy, and of course, like water, which do you think it would somewhat affect the Schuylkill River, which is in Conshohocken?
Yes, but remember, this is a steel plant that has giant trucks coming back and forth, that has pollution spewing into the air. If you run on the running trail that runs by the steel plant, the vegetation is all brown along the steel plant. So you go from like green, 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 and then a mile of brown, and then back to green. So we're not talking about a use right now that is environmentally friendly by any stretch. In fact, it's adhering to environmental codes that are decades old because it's been there forever, right? If a new anything goes in, they'll have to adhere to our modern standards. So in some ways, it could be a much cleaner use. It could be a much more modern use that fits in with our current environmental codes and standards. Let's hit pause and just get more information.
What is the future you see in Conshohocken, or what is a Conshohocken you'd like to see in the future?
My big thing is community policing. Let's get the police continuing to be involved in our community so that we're having positive experiences, so that when we end up with something that might be negative, they know the people and the people know them, and it can be a much smoother resolution. So we have a local anti-racism community group that we have regular meetings with, and we talk to them about things they're hearing and that we're hearing. They actually came in to do de-escalation training so they can see how officers take a violent situation and sort of make it not violent, make it something that's like maybe even a positive by the end. So I'm excited for that. Just that community engagement, I think just continuing. I didn't know where we'd be 4 years ago to now, and I don't necessarily know where we'll be in 4 years. I hope we have that road diet in, bringing the road down.
Well, that's all the time we have. I would like to thank you, Mayor, for joining me.
Thank you.
Mayor Aronson will be sworn in as mayor in January, and I wish you the best of luck into your third term. Thank you to the viewers for watching. You can subscribe to my Substack down below and my YouTube channel. This is the Abstract Rumusao. Bye for now.